Okay.
So welcome everyone to the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living. I'm Reverend Ellie Hutchinson. I'm a staff minister at OCSL. My pronouns are she and they, and I will be your host tonight at our Wednesday night Oasis service. Oasis is a time when we come together midweek for spiritual nourishment and refreshment. Most Wednesday nights build on the themes from the service of the week before, the previous Sunday, and we share science of mind principles and practices that nourish us and uplift us with the intention that these gatherings be informal and intimate and interactive. Our annual theme at CSL for 2025 is Rising Higher, Growing Deeper. And we are continuing tonight with our monthly theme for April, which is Fertilizing Our Future. Last Sunday, Reverend Sunshine Michelle Coleman, our senior minister, introduced ideas inspired by this week's theme, Enriching Our Soil of Possibilities. And tonight, our speaker will continue the exploration of that topic. If you're new to our community or watching our recording for the first time, please visit our website at oaklandcsl.org and click on the I'm New icon. At the lower left-hand corner, you'll see a place where you can submit your email address. And once you do that, you'll begin receiving our newsletter, The Village News, once a week in your email. It has all the information about what's happening at our center in the next few weeks. Before we start the talk, please mute your microphone if it's not already muted. When you mute, it'll help with the transmission and the quality of the recording. And then you can leave your camera on if you like. And please stay tuned through the end of the service to hear a lot of important announcements. Our speaker tonight is Reverend Deb Hammond. Reverend Deb Hammond is a religious science practitioner. She's been on a mission to uplift spirits and ignite transformation since 2009. A licensed practitioner with Centers for Spiritual Living and an ordained interfaith minister because one path just wasn't enough. She believes in the limitless potential within everyone, even on Mondays. With a heart full of wisdom and a knack for seeing the best in people, sometimes before they see it in themselves, Reverend Deb helps others to embrace their divine spark and step into their power, whether teaching, speaking, or simply holding space. She's all about guiding others toward their highest good with a little humor and a lot of love. You can find her spreading light and inspiration at Oakland Center for Spiritual Living, where Reverend Dr. Sunshine Michelle Coleman leads as spiritual director. So thank you in advance for being our speaker tonight. But first, we always start with prayer, and I believe you said you'd like to do the opening prayer, Reverend Deb, so I will turn it over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Reverend Ellie. So let us just take a deep breath and just let that breath go. As we give thanks for this right now moment, as we give thanks for all that has taken place on this beautiful day, this April 9th day, April 8th, 9th, knowing that all is truly unfolding in perfect and divine order, knowing that as we connect to that divine that's within us, we know that that divine within us knows, guides, leads, and provides all that is required for this life's journey, knowing that our life is the life of God, and God's life is good, regardless of appearances, knowing that there's a shiny bit of light that shines through even those dark places. So knowing that in this moment, that we have the opportunity to plant seeds of infinite possibilities, knowing that the seeds that we plant, that they create our future, that we get to see the nourishment of the seeds that we plant, that we get to see the maturation of those seeds that are being planted, and we see the manifestation of those seeds, those thoughts that we put out into the world. So I just give thanks for this time that we have come here together. This Wednesday night Oasis night, this beautiful night, and all that have shown here to bring their beautiful energy into this space. Blessing this service and all that have come here to make this service possible, knowing that all is well, all is good, And so it is. Amen. So, happy Wednesday, everyone. What a beautiful day. Here in Oakland, it's like the weather is gorgeous outside. And it just reminds me of the seeds that we've planted. How many times have you said, "Oh, I would love for there to be a warm day, that I can go outside, go hang out in the sun, get away from the cold air for a while." And poof, as Rev says, poof, voila, here it is. It happened on today, and it happened yesterday. But also the thing, what I realize is that when we have this opportunity to plant these seeds of life, or even in our garden, even as Rev was speaking on Sunday about planting seeds or repotting plants. But when we plant the seeds, there's something special that happens with that. Have you ever planted something in your garden and later wondered, what in the world did I put in there? Because sometimes we may forget what packet of seeds we put down in the ground. And then you think, well, maybe it was a beautiful flower, or maybe it was a weed that may just take over everything. Well, that's kind of how life is as well. We're always planning something, and our thoughts, our beliefs, and our actions are the seeds. And our consciousness is the soil where they take root. But here's the real kicker, though. Whether we plant intentionally or not, something is always growing. How many of you know that? No matter whether we're planting intentionally or not, something is always growing. It's just like when we do our prayers. When practitioners pray, we pray from that place of knowing that it's already done. So we've already planted the seed that it is already done, whatever the prayer is. And as we're speaking that word, we're knowing that there is something that will manifest from this. And as we pray, there's this place of, where's your belief system? Because are you believing that what you're asking for is actually coming to manifestation? Or are you in this place of, well, I'm going to ask for this, but I don't know if it's really going to happen or not. And then that's where the weeds come in, because it may have started out as a plant, and all of a sudden the weeds come in and they take over because there was some place in your consciousness that was that little doubt. That seed of doubt is that weed. So tonight, I want us to be able to reflect and to fertilize our future so that what grows in our lives is abundant, beautiful, and nourishing. Now, as you all know, many of you have taken Science of Mind classes, especially the basic classes, when we learn about the seed, soil, plant. And I'm quite sure many of you have heard that expression before. As we think about it, the seed is the thought, the idea, the intention. So just as the seed carries within it the blueprint for what it will become, every thought we think holds the potential to manifest in our lives. What we plant, whether it's positive or negative, will determine what our harvest will be. So if we think about, if a person may consistently affirm, I am worthy of love, are they planting seeds of doubt? No, they're planting seeds of self-worth that will eventually manifest in their relationships and their experiences. But then sometimes if we get to that place of, well, I don't know if I'm worthy of love, then we're planning just the opposite. Because what I know is that Spirit created us in this place of, in this space of love, and that we are all worthy of love. We are love. And so as we allow that seed to be planted in the ground, know that there is this love, this infinite amount of love that's building up, that's growing underneath in our heart space, in our world, and in our affairs. When we keep planting that seed, then we go to this place of the soil, and this represents our consciousness, our mindset, the beliefs and spiritual practices. So just as soil needs nutrients, our consciousness needs affirmations. It needs faith and spiritual practice to be fertile ground. And then the plant represents our manifested experiences. What we nurture, what we grow. What we nurture, we grow. If we want love, joy, and success, we must tend to them daily. Because many of you, if you're in the nurturing business of planting seeds or gardening, then you know it's like you have to take care of them. You have to water them. You have to provide love to them. And even as Rev had mentioned on Sunday, it's like talk to your plants. It's all energy and they hear it. They feel that energy. They feel that love. And it's just like if you were to not water them, they would die. They could dry up and they would not feel the love. Well, the same thing happens with us. It's like if we're not nurturing ourselves and loving ourselves and creating and setting intentions for that we desire, where does that leave us? You know, we could be a little lump in the corner somewhere because we think, oh, I'm not good enough, or, I'm not worthy of this goodness that I know is mine. And that's the place where we truly have to start planting the seeds for what we want to have in our world and in our affairs. Even now, in the times of where we are, where we find ourselves in the current situations, what seeds are we planting when we're watching the news, when we're reading the news on Google or whatever it is that may disturb us? And it's not to say that we're not to get triggered by some of the things that happens, but when we get triggered, what do we do with those triggering points, those thoughts that come to mind? These are the times where we can start planting new seeds out into the universe. Because when we're starting to plant those seeds and keep planting them, because just like if a plant grows, it doesn't grow overnight. The roots don't come out overnight. So as we're putting these thoughts out into the universe, sometimes things shift rather quickly, and sometimes it takes a little while. So it's about being patient and being faithful to that we are calling forth. Keep our eye on the prize of what we're calling forth. Have faith and know that we're putting out there, the seeds that we're planting, that it is truly creating beautiful bounties of flowers or ideas or thoughts or projects, whatever it is that we're wanting to experience in our world and in our affairs. The soil does not judge the seed when we plant it. It faithfully produces whatever is planted. So just like when we send our prayers out, God doesn't judge what the request that we put out there. Spirit says, okay, here we go. But then the thing that we also have to remember is, although we speak the words out into the universe, there's still an energetic that sits behind that allows us to, that's what the universe is truly responding to. Are you putting your words out with fear behind it? Or are you putting your words out there with faith, knowing that you're asking for is being made manifest for you? Our consciousness and our beliefs and emotions, it determines how our intentions take root and how it unfolds. If someone deeply believes in abundance, the soil of their consciousness nurtures prosperity in their life. But if their subconscious is full of doubt or fear, it chokes the growth of positive ideas. So we just think about with the plant, when we see the visible result of the seeds and the soil working together, how beautiful it manifests together. And sometimes we may have already been planting seeds before, and then when that request that we put out to the universe actually shows up, and sometimes it just shows up like, boom, here it is. Well, it didn't just happen overnight. This has been something the seed has been planted for a while. And then when the time is right, the perfect opportunity is right, that we have called forth, it manifests. And sometimes we think, oh, that was quick. Well, it may feel that way, but sometimes it's this place of you've already been dreaming about this, speaking into this, giving life into that you're calling forth. And then when there's a shift, sometimes within us, boom, it happens just like that. I love when these things come together. It's like there's this opportunity of just seeing how, or even writing down. Sometimes I'll write down in my journal when I've planted a seed. And sometimes some things may take years for it to show up. And I also think back of when it's that positive seed, that manifestation is showing up, and when it's something that doesn't feel good for me. And I'll have to remind myself, I've been in that situation before when there was something really crazy happening when I was back in Georgia, and something was happening with work or something that was going on. And I remember stopping. I went to my car and I sat in my car and I asked Spirit, I said, what in my conscious mind did I think for this that I'm experiencing to show up? And there was an answer because years ago, and it took me right back to what it was that I said. And when it revealed itself to me, I had to think, oh, no, we're changing this right now. This is not happening. Cancel, cancel, cancel right now. I planted new seeds and set a new intention for what I wanted to experience. Because what I remember when I was saying is like, well, heck, I can do this on my own. I don't need any support. I don't need any help to get this project done. It's like I'm good by myself. And I remember saying that before. And when that came back around is when I said, no, we're changing that. I'm open to support. I'm open to receiving help right about now. And we're changing this pattern. And when I changed that mindset, I had started getting employees in that I was starting to hire. And I was just like, and in that case, it still took a little while, but it started happening because I realized that I wasn't trying to do everything. So that's the thing. It's like if we don't like what's growing in our lives, we must plant new seeds and enrich the soil. So I'm going to ask you right now. Let me go back to this before. In Rev's talk on Sunday, she had mentioned, I made some notes. It's like wisdom from Rev Sunshine Michelle. And so one of the things was we have to nurture each other and ourselves so that when we forget who we are, we can remind each other that we are beloveds of the beloved. And then I think about, it's like, how amazing is that? Because we nurture each other. When we come here for prayer, when we come here to hear the talk, when we're in community, we're in beloved community. And in these places is where we're nurtured with our beloved families, our support systems that we have. Have you ever had a moment when someone spoke life into you just when you needed it? How many of you have had that happen? And you can come off camera if you want to raise your hand, if you want to talk about that as well. It's like, how many of you have had somebody speak that life into you when you really needed it?
I'll speak to that as well. When I was living in Hilltop Commons, they were raising the rent like every 6 months. And I knew that I wanted to retire. And at that time, Craig Shane, who was a member of our church, was a realtor. And I didn't have a bunch of money or anything. And I said to Craig, I need to move. I need to find a place to live. Can you help me? And he said, sure, Dorothy. I'll help you. And something came up. And it was a place that was not even put on the market yet. He said, I want you to go and look at this place. And I took Paul Thompson with me. And I came here and I stepped out on that balcony and I saw this beautiful view and trees and everything. And I was like, and the gentleman who evidently owned this place was painting it. And he said, wouldn't you like to come home to this view? And I said, yeah, I really would. I got this place with a down payment of $2,000. And Craig said to me, Dorothy, just take me to dinner. I don't need anything more from you. I just want you to take me to dinner. And I listened to that voice within me that said, I'm shining on you, I'm looking at you, and I know that everything I'm doing is right for you. And I really got a little frightened about it because I had not been that in touch with spirit. At least I thought I wasn't, okay? But I had been in the movement for maybe, I would say, 10 years at the most. And I said, okay, be still. And my quote every day is, be still and know that God is all there is. And listen to that still voice within, because it's always right on time. And I got this house where I'm living. And I've been here for 23 years. So, and I am blessed with $2,000 and a dinner in Montclair. God is good. I'm complete.
What beloved community is about is helping each
All
other,
the time.
when we feel spiritually parched. That's it.
And
Thank you.
Craig's children grew up in our church, and he was running for the board, Craig Shane. And I think maybe Judith remembers him, and maybe Reverend Ike remembers him, and Reverend Sunshine probably remembers Craig Shane too. And he was running from our board when he decided he didn't want to be here anymore. But his wife and his children grew up in our community.
Yes, yes, yes.
I'm complete.
Planting the seeds and having beloved community, even if we don't know who that person in the beloved community is, of how they show up. But when you're ready, you ask the question, and it's like, and boom, there it is. But you had already
Absolutely.
planted that seed, though, for what you wanted.
Yes, yes, yes. And it's funny because I said, I only want a 1-bedroom because I don't want my kids coming to live with me. Culture. And I'm the mean mama.
No.
No. See, and that's the thing that reminds me, it's like choosing our words carefully, because our words are also seeds. And when that gentleman asked you, wouldn't you love living here? And, to see, to come home to that view. And it was just like, yes.
Yes.
And there it was every day.
Every day. I'm blessed. Thank you.
Is there anybody else I'd like to share? It's like, when that space of when somebody's fed into you, it's like when you've been kind of down or not sure of what it is that you planted seeds, but you can't see it growing. And you know that something is happening, you just don't know what. So, we have communities of people that show up to say, how can I support you?
Dr. Judith has her hand up.
Dr. Judith, go ahead.
Yeah, I many years ago when my friends and I were living in one place in San Francisco, and the owner was selling the house, so we were going to have to get out. And I was driving a school bus at that time, so I was driving around, And I saw a sign that said, you know, apartment for rent or something. And I called that number, and this boy answered the phone. And I'm saying, you know, is your dad home? Because I want to talk about the apartment. And then he says, is this my school bus driver? I said, oh yeah, hi, how are you? It is your school bus driver. And then when his dad called me, then, you know, we worked it out. We ended up moving into that place. But that was like I mean, I'm just driving around, and then he says, is this my school bus? Are you my school bus driver? I say, yeah. Oh, anyway, I love those kids. I drove otherly abled children and in different ways, and they were so sweet. Anyway, that happened, and I've never forgotten that. That was a spirit showing up right there.
Thank you for that. Thank you for sharing that. It's like, you know, when you're riding around, it's like you never know what may land in your lap at that moment and the people that spirit is connecting you with in order to make that happen.
Right.
So it's just like, how cute was that though? Is there anyone else that would like to share? So, in this time, what I know is that even when we think that we may have planted weeds or something, it's like, and rather than this plant, we look at it sometimes, it's like, oh, I made a mistake with that. And Ernest Holmes reminds us that there are no mistakes. No mistakes have been made. None are being made, and none can be made. It reminds me of the Ricky Byers song that just came to mind when I was writing this. So,
Right.
I think about how many of us dwell on our past missteps as if they define us. Like if we think that, oh, I missed that opportunity. It's like, or I'll never get that chance again. And Ernest Holmes tells us is that let it go. If that's something that you may have thought about and you're allowing that to define you, let it go. Release the idea that you missed your chance. Because in God, there is no missed opportunities. It might not have been just not for you in that moment. But the thing is that the universe is abundant and there's always another opportunity. That's a truth bomb. It's just like boom. We live in an abundant universe. There's always another opportunity for something greater to show up. So let me ask you, so as I've been talking, you all have been listening and thinking back about over your life, where in your life do you need to declare that there are no mistakes, only new beginnings? And when you declare that, think about what kind of seeds are you planting in your life right now? So where in your life have you or do you need to declare that there are no mistakes? There are only new beginnings. And then with those new beginnings, what kind of seeds are you willing to plant in your life right now? Anyone like to share? I think about when
Sorry,
Reverend Al, are you saying something?
Sabrina's got her hand up.
Okay, Sabrina, sorry. There you are. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good.
Good, good. I love your presentation. Thank you. And I just want to say something you said, the soil does not judge. Thank
No.
you for that. I really appreciate that because it does tell me my words matter, like you were saying. So I'm going to answer both questions, but I want to start with the previous one. And most people know, a lot of people know, I've been for the last year going back and forth taking care of Dad. And about a year ago, Dad's 91 and he's now, pretty much at home. Want to keep him in the home where he can age in place. Don't want him to go to a nursing home. Home health aides has been an interesting journey. And one of the prayers my nephew and I made about a year ago, let's find someone who loves Westerns and can, just really get along with dad. I just got home yesterday, but I have to tell you, this past week, that person walked in our door and has been talking to my dad about, oh, is that person in Rifleman or the Valley, and just naming all these Westerns. And I'm sitting there, because I hate Westerns, and I'm sitting there going, oh my God, Mary Poppins just walked in the door. She started singing songs like when things would happen. She's like, these boots are made for walking. And then dad starts singing with her. And I looked at my nephew when he came home from work, and I was like, watch Mary Poppins. And this is Mary Poppins Trinidad version. Watch Mary Poppins. And he watched her, and we both high-fived, and he said to me, and I loved it, just one prayer. Just one prayer. And so thank you. It took a year, and it came. So,
Wow.
so yeah.
Yay.
Yeah.
Prayer, and sometimes that's all it takes is just one prayer. And it's like, and what's the intention behind it as well? So you planted that seed, and it took a minute for it to come to fruition. And it walked through your door. I love it. Yes. That's what this is about. That's what our teaching is about. It's like when we're really in that place of knowing who we are and whose we are, and trusting the divine within us, that there is truly no stopping us. I love this. Is there someone else that wanted to share? So, and a lot of times we think about, when I was doing hypnotherapy work before, I think about things that we learned as children, or conversations that we may have heard as children, and we may have mistaken that conversation for something that was harsh. When we think sometimes as children, when parents are getting divorced, and we think, it's like when the parents split, that one of the parents didn't love me enough, or they didn't care enough about me. And we take that into our adult life. We're not always aware of it. And the thing about it is, we don't know the reasons why any of these things have happened. There may have been a conversation that took place that said, I can't do this, and it had nothing to do with the child. But as a child, we take this on and we run with it. Or there are times that children have been in school, and children have made fun of a person, or they were trying to write something spell out something on the chalkboard. And there was laughter that was happening behind that child. And that child may have thought, oh, they're laughing at me. And it's like, they must think that I'm not smart. And then come to find out later on in years of, probably it's like class reunion or something, and this person is still holding on to harboring those things that have happened, but they've allowed that situation to dictate their lives. They're planting the seed, and in that seed they're thinking that I'm not smart, and they go through that life like that. But then it's like they come to find out they've had a conversation with some of the children that were in that classroom, and what actually happened was that the children were laughing because they were embarrassed, because they got the answer wrong also themselves. And they got it, and they were embarrassed to say anything, so they started laughing. And then when the person found out or realized, oh, so this wasn't about you laughing at me, that it was about you laughing at yourself. But how many times do we take these conversations and give it a meaning, and we run with it without getting the full information about what's really behind the conversation? Those are the seeds that we're planting, because there are times we're planting seeds of, I'm abundant. But in the back of our minds, or like, I'm prosperous, I'm wealthy, or whatever it is we want to call it. But in the back of your mind, it's like, who are you to say that you can have this? Who are you are you to say that you can have lots of money or you can go and take trips around the world whenever you want to? But the thing is that when we speak it, what are we speaking? What are we planting? But also the energy of what we're planting. When we're doing prayer, what are we speaking out into the universe? What's the energy? Do we feel that we're worthy of having that we're calling forth? Even when we see a world that works for all, is that something that we truly believe, or are they just words coming out of our mouths? And the thing about it is, like, in this place of where we find ourselves, we have this opportunity to be able to create some action steps if we choose to. And I still think about this of, living in that space of infinite possibilities and how we can enrich our soil of infinite possibilities. So we think about spiritual weeding. Like, if we can identify the limiting beliefs and then we can uproot them, like pull them up. How many times have you heard somebody say, well, I'm too old for this? Or it's like, and we may have said it to ourselves as well. It's like, oh, I'm too old for this. This is not working for me. And your body hears it. Your body listens, and it's like, and it responds accordingly. Or you may say, oh, I missed my chance with that one. I'll never be able to get that back again. Those are those limiting beliefs that we're putting upon ourselves. And it's time to start uprooting them. Then you think about, you can compost your challenges. So we can turn past difficulties into wisdom. Instead of, why did this happen? Ask, what did I learn from this? How many times have we gone through that process and we've asked ourselves, why is this happening? Even now, it's like, why is this happening? And we can look at, what is it that I'm to learn from this? Even about myself. What is it that I'm being called to do in these, what feels like turbulent times? What am I to learn from this opportunity of what's showing up? How do I dig deeper into my spiritual practices? And then we can water our dreams daily. And in that space, we use our affirmations, we use our prayers and meditation. And it's like, and when we nourish our vision, when we stay focused, like we're reading 365 Science of Mind and the gratitude books for this year. And there are some amazing, especially in the 365 Science of Mind, that in that book, I just happened to turn to a certain day, and it was like, this is just what I needed in this moment. And it's so amazing of like how spirit guides us to books that we have on our shelves, or to make a phone call to a person and to have a conversation to clear the air, or whatever it is that we need to do. Even with our own families, how do we, in these situations, how do we honor ourselves? How do we plant new seeds? How do we compost our challenges and turn those past difficulties into wisdom? So then when we're doing that, then we can check our soil. It's like, who and what are influencing our mindsets? Are we choosing people, what books, what environments that help to uplift us? Because sometimes we think that we can try to do this on our own. And listening, tapping in the spirit, yes. But this is also where beloved community comes into play as well. This is where the prayer partners come in. This is where the practitioners and the ministers come in to play, to support us in shifting our mindset. It's easy to walk around. It's like, there are some people that have friends that are always negative. They may have some positive sparks, but when we see them, sometimes it's always something negative that comes out of their mouths or in their energies. And the individuals that are hanging out with them wonder, why is my life looking like this when I want it to look bright like this? Shift the people that we're hanging around. Change our environments. Find something that truly uplifts us, and to be able to do that we're planting the seeds for. And then when we plant with intention. So when we make a daily practice of sowing in gratitude and faith and positive expectations, we start seeing that. It could be even, it could be immediately. Sometimes it's like we're walking into a building sometimes and somebody comes and holds the door open for you. It's like be in that place of gratitude. Thank you. Or somebody, when you go through Starbucks lines sometimes, or one of the coffee lines, and how they have this thing, pay it forward, or I'm paying for the person behind me. How many times have someone had that happen to them before? And it's just like, oh, thank you. And then, we pay that forward as well. Sometimes when some people take advantage of that situation also. They think, oh yeah, they're paying for me. I'm going to order everything on the menu and charge it to that person in front of me. And it's like, no, we're not doing that one. But again, that's still that intention that we're setting. Because if you're setting an intention of greed, then that comes back at you. So, it's this thing of loving who we are, where we are, and trusting that we are truly always being guided in the right and perfect direction. So I have a couple other questions for you. So one of the questions is, what have you unconsciously been planting in your life? And is it yielding the harvest that you want? Who would like to answer that one?
No one.
Come on. We have some takers out there, I'm sure. And it's all good because, say again?
If it's unconscious, how will we know?
Well, sometimes our actions, our movements, it's kind of like we may not think about it because it's like there's something that's playing in the background and you don't know. It's just like that little child. It's like when they thought about what happened before. Unconsciously, we don't think about something that happened years ago or a thought that we had until we're moving through our lives. And it's like, where did that come from? Huh? What happened? Or it could be somebody around us and it's like we picked up their habits or something. And we just started doing their habits with our parents. Sometimes it's like we see our parents doing certain things. What was it? It was a story that I saw. It's like when the person was saying that when she does the turkey and that she would always, it's like have a pan and it's like, and she would see her mother cut off like, parts of the turkey or something. And then it's like, and bake it. So unconsciously, that's what she did. She cut off those pieces of the turkey and put it in the oven. And so somebody asked, well, why do you do that? Well, my mom did it. So then she asked her mother, she said, well, why did you cut off these parts of the turkey? Well, because it didn't fit in the pan. So that, but see, we didn't. So unconsciously, we're doing things because it's like, oh, my mom did this, or my dad did this, or somebody that I know. So it's these kind of things that what habits are we doing in the world, and is it working for us? Or do we get to a place to say, you know what, this is no longer working for me, I'm letting this go?
I was thinking like, well, how do we, if we're having an unconscious thought, how do we know? And it's like looking in a mirror, you can't see your own face, but if you look in the mirror, like, what's going on around you that isn't
Exactly.
prefer? Well, I was thinking too about you asked earlier about choices that you regret or something like that, and not regretting them, like it's all perfect. I was thinking I came to Science of Mind through Unity, and when I remember when I got here, when I was sort of falling in love with Ernest Holmes, one of the first things I loved was when he said the thing about principles not bound by precedent, that in a moment everything can start to change. And I was back in high school trying to decide, do I want to be a therapist or a lawyer? Do I want to and then when I was going to law school, I was thinking, do I want to go to Texas? Do I want to come to California? And I chose law and I chose Texas, and that's obviously not where I am now. I'm really glad I did it, but what ended up happening was I ended up in California through this sort of bizarre series of little nudges from the universe and synchronicities and that kind of stuff. And I ended up here, and I had been for a while thinking I really want to go back to school for psychology, and I looked at the courses that were available at the colleges in Texas, and it just didn't seem very interesting. It was all about rats and mazes. And when I got here, I thought, I need to meet people. I'll take some classes. I'll take some psychology classes, right? And so I wrote off for some catalogs because it wasn't even online yet, and found some really interesting classes in transpersonal psych, which is the intersection of psychology and spirituality. And I found out that there were exactly 3 fully accredited master's degrees in transpersonal psych in the world, and they were in the Bay Area. So I
Oh,
ended up
wow.
in exactly the right place.
Wow.
It's like
Exactly.
I don't regret the choices because I'm glad I was in, the South then. I'm glad I was practicing law then. And I still ended up doing exactly what I needed to be doing where I needed to be doing it. So
Wow.
that's all.
Yeah.
We have time for a couple more questions, so a few more questions. So, thinking about what beliefs need to be weeded out so your future can flourish. So, and you may not have to answer this now, but just think about it. It's like, if there's some beliefs that that you're holding on to that need to be released, how do we release those? Are you willing to release those? But
Mm.
I have to realize who I'm talking to. So, all these are metaphysicians here. So, I know we don't have any beliefs like that hold us back. So we're all good. I know that.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
I pop up occasionally.
Well, I
Yes,
have,
Dr.
it's a habit. Some things are habits, And
Mm-hmm.
I think that for a lot of my life, it was like the habit was, and I do not know the origin of it precisely, but it was, I can't.
Mm.
I can't. Confronted with something, offered something, I can't do that. I'm not able to, I can't. And there's a shift, but I have to tell you that one time I was having the first practitioner that I ever went to. I trusted her because actually she was a patient of mine as a chiropractor. And so since she thought I was wonderful, I had to think that she was wonderful also and believe what she would say. And one day I think she just got tired of hearing me say, I can't, I can't do that, or I can't do that. She took a little sticky and she wrote on it, yes, I can. And she smacked it onto my jacket, for me to go home with. And it was startling, and it seems funny now, but it actually began to work something in me. It's like, I'm not obligated to say that other thing. And I began trying to look for a way to say, yes, I can. And things that would come up for me. And gradually in Science of Mind, I believe that more and more about myself, whatever it is coming up. Yes, I can. And that's sometimes when I think back of how, years ago, it's like, it's quite wonderful.
Yeah.
I'm kind of complete with that. Yeah.
As they say, it's like, if you think you can't, you can't. If you think you can, you can.
Right.
If
And
you
that's,
think
and that's the belief that we hold on to. If we tell ourselves, I can't do that, then it's like, okay, we're not going to do it. Because there's going to be something that's going to show up, some obstacle that will allow us to not be able to do that. And then we have to be able to shift that mindset. So I love it that she put a sticker on you to remind you, I can do that.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I have two pictures in my bathroom. And if you're a woman and sitting, it says, all things are possible with God. If you're a man and stands up, it says, "Be still and know that I am God." So we
Getting
will
church
not
everywhere.
anyone who comes to my house and has to go to the bathroom. Will know that God is truly your source and your sufficiency in all things. So I'm complete.
Dorothy, on that note, I think we're going to need to move on.
Oh, God.
Oh, it's that time. I think to go into announcements.
And
So
one last thing, just for you, something for you to take with you. So think about when those opportunities show up, when you think you can't, or when you feel like you're stuck, or you feel like there's weeds growing up in your garden. Think about what one practice can you commit to this week to fertilize your future. And you don't have to think about it now, but just think about that. What is one practice that you can do to help fertilize your future? And with that, I am grateful for this opportunity to have been able to spend this time of infinite possibilities hanging out in the soil with all of you all tonight. Oh my gosh, this has been so fun. And so thank you for all of your participations and for your love being here. And for those that will watch the video later, it's like, you should have been here for this time. But you know what? There are no mistakes in God, and all is good. So we'll catch you on the next time. So for that, I am complete. And Rev Alley, I am turning this back over to you.
thank you. Let's give
Thank you
Deb
for this
some love.
wonderful Wednesday night. Thank you,
Okay,
sweetheart.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and now we're going into our announcements. This Sunday, Reverend April 13th, Reverend Jerry Carter will be speaking on visioning beyond the horizon. The meditation starts at 10, followed by the service at 10:30. Next Wednesday at our midweek oasis on the 16th, join Robert Leeds for an encore conversation on that same topic, visioning beyond the horizon. Meditation is at 6:30 and the service is at 7, all on Zoom. Our daily readers for 2025 are 365 Signs of Mind by Ernest Holmes, which was mentioned tonight, and the Daily Gratitude Reflections, Volume 2 by Deborah Perdue. Please join us in these daily affirmations. And please join the Ministry of Prayer for Friday night prayer happy hour, April 11th, which is this Friday from 7 to 8 on Zoom. This will happen weekly on Fridays, except the fourth Friday of the month. Practitioners Maureen French and Megan Lemon extend this open invitation to anchor in prayer with your spiritual community. Please visit oaklandcsl.org/events, click on the image, and use the passcode 123456. There is one more week left in the Lenten season, March 5th to April 17th. We invite you to choose something that distracts you from staying grounded and fast from it during the remainder of this Lenten time. Fast and pray for greater groundedness, focus, and serenity. We honor Passover from April 12th to April 20th. The past and present mingle during Passover, one of the most significant holidays of the Jewish calendar. Passover is a celebration that commemorates the Jewish people's escape from slavery in ancient Egypt. April is also Earth Month. We've celebrated Earth Day for the past 50 years on April 22nd to demonstrate support for environmental protection. This was first held on April 22nd, 1970, and it now includes a wide range of events coordinated globally through earthday.org, including 1 billion people in more than 193 countries. We don't have a slide for this, but we're having a Fear to Faith technology clinic on Saturday, April 19th from 10 to noon in the social hall. This will be led by Nancy Hester and Ron Marshall, religious science practitioner, and some of their friends. The cost is $20 per person, and it's best suited for beginners or intermediate folks with a 2-device limit, please. You'll learn about basic operations and features for iPhones, Androids, laptops, or tablets. Device repairs are not included, but go to oaklandcsl.org/workshop to register. You can also join us for a Peace of Mind Planning for an Elegant Exit class starting April 22nd to May 13th on Zoom. You can here create an advanced directive that goes beyond medical wishes to include personal, emotional, and spiritual needs. The cost is just $99, and that is a discount that's extended until April 14th. And after that, the cost will increase to $125. OCSL will receive $30 of your fee. So please visit oaklandcsl.org/events to register. The Social Justice Ministry presents Color of Fear, a movie viewing and live discussion with Lee Manoir, Sunday, May 4th, 1 to 4 p.m. in the sanctuary. The suggested love offering is $10 to $30. And Brother Ishmael Tete will join us live and in person at OCSL on May 7th for a special Wednesday midweek oasis. So again, this event will be both in person and live streamed. It'll start a little bit early with a 5:30 meditation and the service from 6 to 7:30 with a book signing afterwards. And please mark your calendars for a quick start class on the science of mind, Saturday, May 17th from 9:30 to 12:30 p.m. This class is a requirement for our new membership cohort for early June, those who want to join and become a member in June. It can also serve as a refresher for some and covers new principles for newcomers in science of mind. Registration will be available soon. Please save the date for a concert with the fabulous Lisa Ferraro and Tammy Hall on June 20th, 7 to 9 p.m., celebrating OCSL's 80th anniversary with a summer solstice concert. More information to follow. And yes, we are this year celebrating the 80th anniversary of the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living. Our nonprofit partner for March is the Newbridge Foundation, a nonprofit, non-medical addiction treatment facility with over 50 years of experience. Visit newbridgefoundation.org for more information. And the Spirit Treasure Bookstore in April is offering a 30% discount on all things science and mind, and I think maybe also everything having to do with Christianity and Judaism to celebrate Easter and Passover. On the slide, you can see our contact team for just various things you might have a need for. And you can visit our website at oaklandcsl.org and sign up for our weekly newsletter, The Village News. Please follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. And while you're there, like and subscribe to Oakland Center today. Visit csl.org to see what's happening within our Centers for Spiritual Living global organization. And now is the time when we transition to our conscious giving. Conscious giving is a celebration, it's a spiritual practice, and it's an expression of gratitude. In giving, we celebrate our community and express gratitude for all the folks who give of their time, talent, and treasure to sustain it. We also acknowledge our place in the flow of universal power and abundance. And we put our intentions, as Reverend Deb was talking about, for greater experiences of abundance into action. In that spirit, please follow along as I read the giving affirmation. And if you're muted, please feel free to read aloud with me. I freely give what I have, and the divine source multiplies it in return. We have all sorts of ways on the website to donate. You can go to our website and click the donate button. That'll bring you to the page where you can find ways to donate by cash, check, text, Zelle, QR code, whatever strikes your fancy at the moment. And still in that spirit of gratitude, we'd like to thank and show our appreciation for everybody who offered their time, talent, and presence to tonight's service. Our speaker, Reverend Deb Hammond, who also did the meditation and the invocation. and Reverend Sunshine Michelle Coleman, who will do our closing prayer tonight. We like to show some appreciation for Reverend Ikea Param, who is present tonight, and our tech host, Freddie Lambert Bright. And finally, in the background, our administrative coordinator, Steve Carter, who prepared our slides for tonight. So with that, I will turn this over to Reverend Sunshine Michelle, who is doing our closing prayer.
Well, thank you, Rev Deb, Rev Ali, Freddie, everybody for coming. I so appreciate all of you and love you, love you, love you. My grandmother used to say that. Love you, love you, love you. Okay, so in the power and the presence of this moment, we give thanks. We are so grateful for the breath of life. We're grateful to have experienced this day, this full day together, and this full day and then the evening together for at least just a little while. We give thanks for an inspiring message by Rev Deb Hammond that we can take into our dream space. We give thanks for all of our blessings that just surround our lives from every direction, and we bounce it back up and out into our communities, our families, into the world. We send love. We send love and blessings, for we know that this love is the divine power and presence of spirit. It is who we are, what we are, why we are, where we are, when we are, and all the rest. And so we give thanks for this and the more, and we simply let it be, and knowing that it is good, great, grand, and glorious. And we have so much gratitude. We rest it in truth and let it be. And so it is.
So it is.
So it is.